Life is not always perfect. In fact, I hit record and the bin truck pulls up outside. However, managing our mental well-being while still being creative is a challenge, but it's not a challenge that's going to be too hard for you or me to achieve. In this week's Studio Live Today podcast, we're talking all about it. I'm going to talk about 17 different topics, but not just about, here's some things to look out for. What can you actually do about them? Yeah, we're going to get active. We're going to get actionable in this week's show because I got to be honest, I've had a tough year. I think a lot of us have. It's been challenging, but that doesn't mean that we need to just throw in the towel and stop creating. In fact, I think we steer into the skid and we do even more. Hi, welcome aboard. My name is Pete Johns. This is Studio Live Today. My goal around here is to help you create, record, and release your best music. I do that through tips and tricks and tutorial videos and this weekly show. And this week, we're going to get away from the technical side and we're going to get more into the mental and emotional side. Now, when we talk about topics like this, I have to put this right up on Front Street, which is that I am not, surprisingly enough, a therapist, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a mental health professional. So if you are struggling in any way, please seek help. There are places you can go here in Australia. There are organizations like Beyond Blue that you can actually go to get help. There are people out there that you can talk to that are professional that can help you. So if you're suffering with anxiety, with depression, with any other mental well-being challenges, go and get yourself some help. However, we're going to carry on here because I think it's important that we talk about this, that we don't just bury it under the rug, that we talk about the fact that I've had my challenges with mental well-being and you might have as well. And especially as creative types, it tends to be fairly common. I wrote a song called Anxiety a while ago. And yes, there is a new anxiety song. My wife joked with me today. She said, I wonder if people will search for that cool new anxiety song and find yours. And I said, maybe I'll change the thumbnail to be a picture of that artist just to trick people. But no, I wouldn't do that. I'm not a clickbait kind of guy. So we are going to go through these 17 points. And the whole purpose of this is to just explore some of these themes, how to recognize the signs, how to support yourself, how to support others, and making sure that you're actually checking in on your mental well-being. You cannot pour from an empty jug. So you've got to look after you so that you can look after others in your life, your family, your friends and your community. So let's start. The first section, we're going to be talking about recognizing and responding to some of the struggles that you and I have as creative types. So recognizing the signs, understanding the early warning signs of things like burnout and things like anxiety in our creative work. So what can you do about this? Have you had this? Have you experienced this? I definitely have. I've had a bit of a rough time. I've not released a song since last Songtember, since September 2024, and it's August 2025, and that plays on me. That plays on my mental well-being, but I recognize the signs of the frustration that I have around that, and I realize that, hey, you've done a lot of other things, Johns. You've done a lot of work. You've done live streams every single week. You've done this podcast every single week. You've put out tutorial videos. You've helped a lot of people one-on-one over that time. So even though I'm not hitting the goal of creating my music, I'm helping enough other people do it. What can you do about this, though? Look, people, as soon as I say this, you're going to go, oh, more work, more effort. But keeping a mood journal or an energy journal or something, noting patterns around your music making. This is something that people sort of scoff at until they do it. And then they're like, wow, I didn't really realize what was actually having an impact on me. So if you're just tracking things like, and we'll talk about them later, talking about your sleep, your food, your dietary habits, your exercise, your relationship stuff. Maybe you're not making music on one day because the day before you had a big fight with your bestie and now you're feeling a bit crap. All these things contribute, but sometimes we don't realize that. You don't draw the conclusion and the connection from what's going on in your life outside of your creativity to how that actually impacts you and your music and your creativity. Number 2 is creative self-compassion. It's normal to have creative blocks. It's normal to have bad days. It's normal to have bad years sometimes, as I just mentioned. But what can we do about that when you've got that, that creative, you're having a go at yourself because you've had a bad day? Well, it's replacing the negative self-talk of I'm failing with I'm learning. Instead of saying it didn't work, you say it's part of the process. Learning what doesn't work for you, just as important. I say this to my kids when they say, oh, I can't do this, I didn't do this. I'm like, no, you didn't do it yet. You can't do it yet. You're learning, you're young, you're inexperienced. You need to give yourself a break because not everyone's going to get it. Everyone starts at zero. I know it's cliche, I say it a lot, but everyone does start at zero and you build up from there. So like, how often do we give ourselves the same kindness that we'd give to someone else? Think about if someone came to you and said the things that you say to yourself and said, oh, I've had creative block for the last few days. Would you say to them, well, then you're a failure. Then you suck. Then you should just stop trying. So why are we so hard on ourselves when we wouldn't treat our friends that way? You probably wouldn't even treat a stranger that way. But when it's self-talk, yeah, we tend to have that. So try and replace that negative self-talk. If you can use the words learn, instead of failure, it's learning. Remember, you can learn as you go. Practice makes progress. Number 3, reframing that failure. So setbacks are a part of artistic growth. If your line just go up all the time, you learn more from the dips than you do from the peaks. And it's hard to kind of come to terms with that. So here's the thing that you can do. After you have a fail, after you have a learning, why don't you write down the things you've learned? I know, I'm asking you to do a lot of writing, or just do a mental checklist. You know what, if you're not someone that likes to write or to journal or to do things, make a mental note and just go, okay, what happened? So for me, I just did that in the start here. I just did exactly that. I said, what failed? What failure did I have? What was my learning? Well, I didn't do a song in the last year. But what are 3 things that I learnt? Well, I learnt that I actually really enjoy helping others make music than making my own. There's a bit of a hot take for you. That I actually enjoy playing and doing my happy hour show every week. So I've kind of replaced that. And what's the 3rd thing? I've been doing Your Music Live every week, where I get to showcase the great music created by this community. So if I could just look at it and say, I have failed to make a song, or I could say, I have succeeded in 52 weeks of live streams without a single miss. Even when I went away, even when I'm on holidays, even when I was in the snow for a week, I made sure that I pre-recorded and that we had content going out there. So reframing your failure. Let's talk another chunk. So it's the second segment here. We're going to talk about building healthy creative habits. But before we go on, if you are enjoying this, please hit the thumbs up button. If this is hitting a bit too close to home, hit the thumbs up button too. But please, this is a place, a safe place, a place of positivity, and a place where we're not going to get all rah-rah and say that everything's great all the time, because it's not. The reality of the situation is it's not, but that doesn't mean that we just have to accept and just do nothing about it. You can bounce back. There's positive things you can do around this stuff. All right. Setting boundaries. Ooh, those boundaries. Who's great at setting boundaries? Not this guy. So overcommitting to projects, which I have done a lot. It can cause stress and it can cause resentment. Have you ever gone into your music creating zone knowing that you promised a person or promised a thing or promised something to be delivered and you're not doing it? And not only do you feel guilty, but you start feeling like angry towards it. Yeah, I do this. I've got a piece of gear at the moment that was sent to me that I need to take a look at, because I said, yeah, send it to me. I'll take a look at it and I'll consider reviewing it. It's sitting in the box. And every time I walk past that box, I feel a little bit cruddy. And I don't want to do that. So what is the positive action about this? Well, you can't do much about what you've already committed to, apart from communicating with the person or with whomever it is that you're impacting or think you're impacting, and keeping in mind that if you have an honest conversation, they're probably not actually thinking about you and this thing every day. They're probably just getting on with their life, but you can tend to, you catastrophize it, you over worry about it. But the best creative habit to get into is politely declining or delaying projects that don't align with your capacity. If you don't have time, and you know you're not going to have time, don't overcommit. Just take a little time for yourself, breathe, and it's okay to say no. Even if it's something that you think would be rad, and even if you think that you'd have a massive amount of FOMO, fear of missing out, if you don't do it, if it's going to have an impact on you and your mental well-being, just consider saying no. Number 5 is taking breaks without Guilt. Are you like me? Is every time you go and, sit down and play a video game or go and have a delicious meal or go outside for a stroll, you're just thinking about all the things you should be doing? You should be inside cleaning. You should be working on that new song. You should be preparing your tax return. But guess what? Empty cup cannot pour from. So you need to take breaks without guilt. So why not do what I do and what I've started doing, which is scheduling short breaks every hour and a full music-free day each week. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having a music-free day? I don't even do this yet. This was actually an idea. I put my notes here into various AI places, and that was one of the things that it spat out. And as much as I don't like using AI for everything, because I think it's a little bit negative in some ways, it is great for like ideas like a music-free day. Because we think about how much we love music, and I do love music, but you know what you need to do with something you love? Give it space. Let yourself miss it. Have you ever noticed that? Like if you've got a significant other or a family member, you haven't hung out with them for a day, or in case of a friend, a week or a couple of weeks, and then you meet up with them and it's super cool. It's because if you'd been living in each other's pockets, you know what that gets like, right? So you actually need that separation from things to realize how much you actually do love it. And if you're doing it constantly, especially if you're working on things where you're feeling resentful, yeah, you're not going to get that mental space. You're not going to get that break away from it to realize how much you truly love it. Number 6, movement. Movement and music. Physical activity improves mood and focus, doesn't it? But how often are we feeling lethargic because we haven't had enough actual physical movement? Here's the positive part of it, though. It doesn't have to be hard. You know how I said schedule that break? Well, my watch actually tells me to get up. After 50 minutes, if I haven't stood up, it'll do it soon. It'll say, get off your ass, Johns, and go for a walk. And it doesn't have to be more than 5 minutes. You know what I often do? We've got a kitchen with an island counter. I will just go and do 10 laps of that island counter. And just walking around. You don't even have to go outside if it's wet or it's rainy or it's too hot or whatever, or you don't want to be too far away to come back to your music. But just the mere act of changing venues, changing spaces, and physically moving, getting the blood pumping and getting the muscles moving in a different way, you can come back and you'd be amazed at how more energized you are. When I used to work in the corporate world, I would go out for a walk at lunch every single day. And I would come back and see the people sitting at their desk frantically eating their lunch while still trying to work. And then it gets to 2 o'clock and they're like, oh, because they hit the wall. Whereas I've gone out for a walk, I come back in, I'm like, ready to go, people, let's do this thing. Afternoon, baby. And yeah, it does really have an impact. Does it work all the time? No. And it's actually a good point to stop and say, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff here. I don't do it all the time. You got to make sure that you can live guilt-free, that you're not going to get all these things right all the time. But not thinking about any of them any of the time, that ain't working, is it? That doesn't work for me, and that's probably not going to work for you. So again, if there's 17 things here, if you get one aha moment out of these 17, winning. 2 or 3, great. Maybe you can change a few things. Maybe you can tweak a few things in the way you go about things, and it's just going to make you happier. Could be as simple as that. Let's talk about mindfulness. Oh, mindfulness. Wasn't a word. Now, here we go. All right, jump into the comments right now and say, woke old Johns is going to talk about mindfulness. But being present while creating can reduce stress. Turn off your notifications. Put this thing in another room. Turn off your email. Turn off YouTube. Be at one with your music. Just be in a create. You know those times, the best times creating music is when you're actually in the zone, when you're just creating, when you're just going for it. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's where you do, well, that's where I do my best work. And I would say for many of you, it's where you do your best work as well, where you have zero distractions and the time flies by. Yeah, you've been there. I've been there. Get back there. So try short breathing exercise before recording or performing. I like box breathing. It completely calms. And if you've not tried box breathing before, it's where you breathe in, and you can do different variations, but breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, breathe in. So yeah, it's a box because it's 4 stages. You go boop, 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 boop. So a little box breathing before you kick in, because sometimes you know what, you've been wrangling the kids and you've been fixing the toilet, and then you come into the studio like, oh, record, but just take that time to be mindful. Sit down. Sometimes I sit down and go, I am so lucky that I live in 2025. I'm staring at a piece of glass that's got GarageBand or Logic Pro on it. I can plug in a high quality microphone or my guitar to that and record pristine audio. A little gratitude goes a long way. And the last for this segment is healthy listening. What's healthy listening? Well, comparing yourself to others can actually hurt your confidence, but actually listening to music and focusing on how it can help you grow is really cool. So limiting social music and social media and music platform time to focus on your own growth. And yeah, this is what I mean with reducing the amount of YouTube you watch or reducing the amount of tutorials you watch. And when I say that, people say, but I should be listening to everything you say, Johns, you are my guru, all hail Johns. And I'm like, no, I would be the worst cult leader in the world, because I don't want you to listen to me all the time. I don't want you to listen to every word I say. If you just agreed with all 17 things I say here without any sort of questioning, that's a bad thing. I want you to attach your critical thinking skills to this. You may say, actually, Johns, I don't believe in that mindfulness stuff and I'm not going to try it. That's cool. More power to you. But there'll be things in here where you go, yeah, totes. I totally agree with what you got to say there. So, yeah, focusing on your own growth, the whole comparing to others. Sometimes it can actually be, you can listen to a whole bunch of cool music thinking you're going to get inspired, and then you record and you hear your music and you're like, oh, I'm so much worse, I might as well give up. So sometimes when it comes to listening to other people's music or other people's YouTubes, less is more. Should we dive into segment 3? Once again, if you're enjoying this or if you're getting some value, thumbs up button is good. If you're watching on the replay, leave a comment down below. Let me know, which of these 17 do you really relate to? Are you going to put into practice? Yeah. All right, number 9. Now, actually, this whole section is going to be self-care beyond the studio, outside of your creative space, because there are things that you can do that actually help you. Did you know this? That the things you do outside of your studio can actually help you do better inside the studio? Yeah. So let's go with number 9, sleep as a creative tool. What does this mean? Well, fatigue can make music making feel like a chore. Yeah? Have you ever had that where you've had a really bad night's sleep and you get up and you're tired and then you're like, oh, I gotta make music. No, you don't gotta make music. You get to make music. But sometimes a lack of sleep, a lack of proper rest and re-energization can actually have a big impact. So the more consistent your sleep schedule can be, or schedule if you like, it really does help. I know you might be thinking, oh, but I heard that Keith Richards just stayed up till like 4 a.m, got really drunk and stoned, fell asleep, and then woke up and wrote the opening riff to Satisfaction and recorded it to a reel-to-reel tape, and then passed out again till 2 o'clock the next day. Yeah, and guess what? That's all that Keith Richards had to do because he was already a rock star. You're different. You don't have the luxury, most likely, of sleeping until 2 p.m. every day. So the more consistent you can be, the better. Now, does that mean you can never have fun? You can never go out? No, of course not. I'm going to the football with my wife on Saturday night. We're going to stay out a bit late. I'm probably going to have a couple of beers, and I'm probably going to feel a little dusty on Sunday morning. So good luck with the happy hour. Come along, check out the happy hour this week. It could be fun. Hair of the dog. But it does mean that trying to be more consistent with your sleep, and I guess recognizing how important sleep is, because I think especially for creative types who are into, rock and roll lifestyle, late nights and, late night inspiration sessions and all that sort of thing. Yeah, they're fine, but how's that going to relate to the next day? And that's something you need to talk about, or at least think about. Number 10, nutrition. Yes, the chubby dude that doesn't eat that well is going to tell you about nutrition. Look, I'm trying. I'm working on my nutrition at the moment. I'm working on eating less and better and drinking less and better. But skipping meals or relying on caffeine, yeah, we've all done it. We've all been there, but it doesn't really help. it can actually impact your mental well-being. So having quick, healthy snacks around before your studio sessions. So I like, weirdly, at the moment I'm into Wheat Bix, which is an Australian brand cereal. You call it Weetabix in the UK for some reason. I don't know what the US equivalent, I guess porridge, but it's kind of usually cold. Anyway, something like that, something that's going to give you a bit of energy, a bit of a kick, something good, like some fruit can be great, some yogurt if you're into dairy, or something, just something that is not going to weigh you down, but is going to get you going. Eat an apple a day. An apple a day keeps the studio rocking. I'm pretty sure that's the saying, or if it's not, it bloody well should be. So yeah, again, I'm not here to lecture you on what you should do. Clearly, I indulge too much in too many things, too much of the time. But yeah, the best time. So Songtember, when I'm really busy, which is coming up, I tend to eat better because I'm actually focused. I'm spending whole days in the studio just working, and it's more like a 9 to 5. In fact, when I used to work a 9 to 5. I was a lot better. I'd have an apple every morning before I started work. I would make sure I had my lunch break and I'd bring along a salad and go for a walk and eat my salad. So yeah, just having that schedule again, can definitely help. And one of my favorites, if you are a Patreon or patron of the channel, or you're a channel member, or even if you just have watched a bunch of stuff that I've done, or you checked out my song Grown from 2 years ago from Songtember, you'll know that I like getting out in nature. Especially this time of the year, coming into spring here in Australia, and the weather is getting, chef's kiss. But changing your environment, using nature as a reset, can really help your creativity. It can refresh and reset your brain, and reset and refresh your creative muscles. So take your writing or your practice session outdoors. Once a week, go for just have a regular walking path where you walk along. And look, maybe you don't take your device, but I always recommend having a phone with you, not to be constantly playing with it while you're out and about, unless you're like me and you play Pokemon Go, but having something to actually grab some ideas, because sometimes you can sit down, I'll be sitting here and I'll be like, right, I'm in the studio, create. And it doesn't work for me. So what do? I go outside, I have a stroll around, I go look at some ducks, and then I'm like, actually, I've got a great idea. I should do a podcast about mental well-being and creativity, because it's something that I'm struggling with, and I bet others are too. So try and schedule in some time to get your butt outside. Nature. Touch the grass. Get out to nature. All right, the fourth and second to last chunk that we're going to talk about here is around connection, purpose, and support. So we're getting into the nitty-gritty here now. So you've done all your self-care stuff. You've worked out what you're going to do, what you're going to change. How do you actually get it done now? So connection over isolation. So many of us work alone, don't we? We sit in our audio caves and we just do things. It can actually amplify the feelings of isolation, of frustration and anxiety and stress and depression, because we feel like we're all alone and that we're the only ones feeling these things. No one else feels like I do. Guess what? I hate to break it to you. Yes, you're very, very special, but you're not special in terms of what you're going through. Because I don't care what you're going through, I don't care what all the things in your life are, someone else can relate. Someone else has gone through, is going through, or has gotten past the challenges that you're going through right now. So what's the positive action around this one? Yeah, I know it's self-flagellating here, but it's joining an online music community. Or even better, join a local jam group. Do what I say, not what I do, and go out to an open mic night. I really need to get out to open mic nights, and I promise I'm going to do that. I promised I was going to do that in 2025. I'm running out of time. But yeah, if you can't, or if you don't have the confidence to go out in public, online groups can be great. Facebook, for all of Facebook and Meta's foibles, the group's structure is pretty darn cool. Discord, if you're young and understand Discord, I'm old and don't. Or just having email chats or iMessage groups or whatever it is, connecting with other people can be super awesome. And it can really reduce that feeling of separation and isolation that we all get. Number 13, purpose beyond plays. So your worth isn't defined by your streams, your likes, your followers, your subscribers, all those vanity metrics. Remember a few weeks back when we talked about vanity metrics? You don't. you better go check that one out. Just search Pete John's Vanity Metrics. You'll find the podcast. It was another good one. It was one that I had to really point the mirror at myself. Vanity Metrics. See what I did there? I had to point the mirror at myself and work out, am I looking at the right stuff? Are we measuring the right things? Because honestly, setting your goals around what other people do is not measurable. When I was in the corporate world, I know I keep talking about my old world jobs, we had what we were called SMART goals, which were specific, measurable, actionable, repeatable and trackable, was something like that. Realistic and trackable. So is the number of followers and likers and subscribers you get actually any of those things? No. So what should you actually be measuring? You should measure your own personal goals. I'm going to finish a song that I'm proud of. I'm going to work for 5 hours in the studio this week. I'm going to stop beating myself up over not creating music. They're things that you have 100% control over. So the more measurable and the more specific and the more actionable by you the goals are, the better. Because guess what? If your goal is streams and likes and follows and subscribers, and you're not achieving those, you're going to feel bad. And what are you going to do? You're either going to just stay feeling bad, or you're going to do something silly, like go out and buy some. You're going to go one of those dodgy brokers, those people that slide into your DMs in SoundCloud that say, hey, bro, I got a deal for you. You give me $50 and I get you 2,000 streams and 2,000 likes and 2,000... No. Not only does that not work, but it's highly risky, because then you're going to feel even worse. Your mental well-being is going to be worse because you're going to be banned, or you're going to get kicked off of platforms, or there's going to be repercussions. Guess what? The platforms are much smarter than these people. And they're like, oh, but we use an AI algorithm, brah. Guess who also uses those algorithms? The platforms. Ain't no one fooling no one. And if your YouTube video that has 2,000 likes and 0 interaction, you're not fooling anyone. Sorry, I'm not talking to you. You know who we're talking about though, don't you? All right, number 14, giving back. Helping others can improve your own well-being. So the reason this is right down here at number 14 is until you've helped yourself, you can't help others. It's like when you're on a plane and the oxygen drops down and it says, please fit your own oxygen mask before you help others, including children. Because what do parents do? What is our instant reaction? Oh, got to help the kids first. The kids are going to be fine. Their lungs are way better than yours, old man. I'm talking to myself here. So fit your own mask, because guess what? Then you can breathe. Then you can help other people. It's the same with this sort of stuff. So giving back, though, helping others. Mentor a beginner musician. Share your knowledge freely and openly. Too many folks get really anxious and really sort of tied up. The question I get asked more than anything is, how do I protect my music? How do I copyright my music? How do I stop people stealing my music? How about you flip the script on that and say, how do I use my skills and talent and knowledge and music to freely share with the world? Allow others to remix your songs. Share your project files so other people can learn how you do things. Work on someone else's track. Again, keeping in mind those limitations we talked about earlier, but helping others, giving back. Community has struggled and suffered in recent times because, again, the way the world's going seems to be more about me, and less about we. Yes, I said we. And it's kind of crappy. So what's the best thing you can do? Again, steer into the skid, go against the grain, and be giving, be sharing, be caring. It's cool. Remember, sharing is caring, and Sharon is Karen. By the way, if you would like to look as cool as I do, if you'd like to rock a Studio Live Today t-shirt, or maybe get the exclusive new Studio Live Today giant 15-ounce mug that fits a very large double shot coffee, head over to the merch stand at studiolivetoday.com/merch. And the prices are reasonable and the shipping is quick. There you go. There's your ad. So number 15, celebrate small wins. Oh my goodness. Waiting for those big breaks can cause frustration, can't it? The amount of times that people have said to me, oh, I really want to try and I haven't written a great song, or I haven't cracked 1,000 streams, or I haven't. Yeah, guess what? You might not ever. If you're doing things only for the feeling of being an ultimate success, yeah, you might need to reassess, redefine how you actually define success for you. But that being said, you can celebrate the small wins. Have you ever done this? Have you ever had a to-do list where you forgot to write something you did, so you write it and then you cross it off? Doesn't it feel good? Isn't that awesome? Because it just looks you're like, yeah, I did a thing. So having a list and actually crossing them off can actually feel really good. Celebrating the small wins, the completed tracks, the gigs you've done, the milestones, that time you helped someone, like just tracking the little things. It's weird. Someone said I saw a thing the other day that was a video, and it was like people's checklists, and one of them said have a successful life or something live my best life, and then they crossed out my best life and wrote just live, and it kind of reminded me. It made me think of the fact that sometimes just getting out of bed is a success. Getting out the door is a success. When I've worked with myself and my kids, and when we've been struggling with things like anxiety, it's about the small steps, isn't it? It's about realizing that, yeah, sometimes it's not going to be that successful, but if you get yourself started, it can actually work well. I was having a particularly rough day. It was Your Music Live this week. We're going to get a little bit personal here and share a personal story. So it was a bad morning. I got up on the wrong side of the bed, as did my children. Getting them up and dressed and ready and out the door was a real struggle town. So I'm sitting down here. It's 8:30 a.m. My wonderful wife has taken the kids to school, and I'm just like, oh, that was a rough morning. And I'm like, and in 15 minutes, I got to turn it on and share people's music. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, I'm like, okay, I got two choices. I got many choices, but I could not do this show. I could let my frustrations flow over into this show, or I can challenge myself to do a really good show despite the fact that I'm feeling this way. Now, am I saying that every time you feel bad, you should push through it? No, it's not the whole throw you in the deep end, you'll be right. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. No, it can sometimes maim you horribly. But I thought about it and went, no, I don't have to do Your Music Live. I get to do Your Music Live. And just flipping that one little word in my head actually changed everything. And so I'm like, okay, let's do this small steps. Open the streaming software. Got it. Turn on the lights. Got it. Put your hat on. Put your old school Studio Live Today hat on, because you're like, that always makes you feel a bit cooler. Like, got it. All right. Okay. Now look through the playlist. Are these all awesome people? Yep. Do they all deserve to have their music presented on a show with a host that's going to be super upbeat and positive? Yes, they do. All right. So start the show. And you know what? About 10 minutes into that show, I'd completely forgotten the crappy morning, because I was just in my I was doing my thing. And that's the thing. The hardest thing is to do it. They say this about exercise too, is that if you can get your sneakers on, you'll usually go to the gym, or you'll usually jump on the treadmill, or you'll usually go for a walk. It's that first step, isn't it? It's that first thing you have to do that actually gets you going. And that's the thing. That's why, as much as I say, noodling is not often a great suggestion for creating music, sometimes just picking up your guitar and starting to play. Sometimes I'll pick up my guitar and just play a cover song, just to get the blood pumping and the creativity flowing. And then even if I don't feel like it, if I just play one of my favorite songs, I play a Nirvana song or a Pearl Jam song or a Weezer song, I'm like, yeah, man, it can just really do that. So I'm not saying that the soul for anxiety and depression is to just do it. Nike. No, it's not always the case. But sometimes if it's something that you know, just, celebrating those little small wins, the little things along the way, rather than boiling the ocean. Chunking it down, baby. All right, number 16. And we talked about this at the front, which is seeking professional support. Now, therapy and counseling aren't just for those crisis mode, not just for the moments where you're feeling really bad. They can actually be a positive thing. And look, you may have different views on professional therapy, professional counseling. I've seen it work wonders for some folks. I've seen some folks that have never used it and have just worked through things themselves. It's a bit like Alcoholics Anonymous. Some people swear by it. Some people say, oh my goodness, I could not think of anything worse than getting together with a bunch of other alcoholics and drinking coffee and talking about my problems. So you'll know you and you do you. But again, it's one of those things that if you haven't tried it, maybe don't poo-poo it. until you do try it. And if you're not quite like ready for the professional stuff, maybe just reaching out to a friend, a trusted friend. I've got a mate that I catch up with and we have lunch every couple of weeks. And it's been an amazing opportunity because we can share the things that are challenging us. And at different times, he's been down and I've been up. I've been down and he's been up. Sometimes we're both down. Sometimes we're both up. And then we hang out and have some beers. That's cool. But the thing is, yeah, just talking about things, just sharing things. And you might be thinking, oh, but I'm going to be a burden sharing things. Yeah, of course. You don't need to share everything with everyone all the time. That's oversharing, and we've all got those people in our lives. But you can share these things. I think the challenge that folks have is that they keep things so close to their chest, they don't want to share things because they think they're going to be a burden. Or the one that I mentioned earlier, they think that their situation is completely different to everyone else's and they're a lost cause and there's no way out and there's no one that can possibly help them. If you don't mind, I'm going to swear, block the kiddies' ears, bullshit. Because there's people going through these situations that are very similar to yours all the time. And I'm not saying that to say that you're not special. You're a very special human being. But you've also got the support of other people who are very special human beings. So it's actually an insult to them. And again, flip the script like we talked about at the start. If you had a friend that came to you that was struggling, that was asking for support and just asking for an ear to listen, you would listen to them, wouldn't they? Yeah, you would. So be a listener. And that's the thing. It's not about fixing. It's not about just creating a solution. And a lot of people will think that that's what therapy and that's what, fix me, fix my problems. No, it's about listening. It's about having a way to actually vent it. And you know, you've done this before. How often when you've got something that's building up inside of you, when you just let it out and share it with someone else? A problem shared is a problem halved. That's the old cliche, and it's pretty bloody true. Should we check in to segment 5? This is our last segment. It's actually only got 1 point. Because it's called the power of checking in. And it's about checking in. It's about asking, are you okay? It means listening, not fixing, as I said before. Having regular, open conversations with other creators about how they're doing. I've got a chat, a Facebook Messenger chat with some other creators. And it's called Mates. Because we're all doing similar sorts of things. And we have a chat about some of the things that impact us. And look, is all of it stuff that we'd want aired publicly? No. And that's okay. You know that thing where you have those gossip sessions at work and back in the days I was like, oh, it's so negative. People shouldn't be gossiping at work. No, that's what you need to do. That Friday night drinks that you have after work where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe the boss did blah. I used to say when I used to manage teams and they'd be like, oh, we're going out for drinks. You want to come, Pete? And I'm like, no, I'm busy. As one time, one person said, oh, why don't you ever come to the drinks that we have? I'm like, because you probably want to talk about me. You probably want to talk about the company. You will probably be too on your guard and too reserved to talk about the things that are actually going to be cathartic, that are going to be a release. And look, is it about having a big plum party, a big poor little old me party, and a big bitch session all the time? No, that can be very negative. That can be very toxic. But sometimes you just need some other people that are going through the same stuff you're going through to share something to turn it from frustration to usually pretty funny, or at least to cathartic, because you get to talk about things and chat about things and have a release. So actually checking in with yourself or with other people, it can make a real difference. It can make a difference to you and it can make a difference to others. So who are you going to check in with? Well, I want it to be you first. I want you to check in with yourself. I want you to ask yourself, are you okay? And then I want you to reach out to someone else. And if you don't, that's cool too. Maybe you're not in a place where you're comfortable doing that right now, but maybe you'll do it in the future. Or maybe when someone comes to you, you'll now realize that your job is not to fix their problems. Your job is to be a sounding board and to listen. Let's go through these, because we went into depth there. If you just want the TLDR or T-double of this, recognizing the signs. So making sure that you are understanding those early warning signs of burnout, being compassionate to yourself, realizing that we all have bad days and that's okay. Reframe that failure. It is not a failure. It is a learning opportunity, and you will fail/learn every single day. Set some boundaries. Make sure that you're not overdoing things. Sometimes it's okay to say no. Taking breaks without guilt. Go play a video game. Go on, do it right after this show. Or go for a walk, even better. Move. Get outside. Move. Be mindful. And listen in moderation. Maybe consider a music-free day a week. Use sleep as a creative tool. Get some rest. Seriously, go to sleep. Not right now. Maybe have 5 minutes. Nutrition. Don't eat crap all the time. Yeah, enjoy the occasional donut. Why not? We all do. But try to get your vitamins and minerals where you can so that you've got the energy to create. And use nature. Go visit some ducks or squirrels or whatever you have in your part of the world. Connection over isolation. Connect with people. Even though we're sitting alone in our alone caves, you can still reach out to people either virtually or physically. Define your purpose. It's not all about the vanity metrics. It's not about the plays. It's about what you want it to be. Give back. Help others. Celebrate the small wins. We're not all going to be rock stars, and that's okay. And remember, there is professional support out there for you. And finally, check in. Check in with yourself and then check in with others. How did you find this? Was this a bit confronting? Were there some aha moments for you? I'd love to get your feedback on what you thought about this. I know these are heavy topics. And once again, reiterating that I am not a therapist. I am not a mental health professional. So please, there are people out there. There's places out there that you can seek and get the help you need. It's not a fix. It's not the sort of stuff that you just get over, but it's the stuff that you can absolutely manage and at least do the best you can and get through those down times and hopefully have more up times. Thanks for watching this one. If you did enjoy it or got some value, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget you can support me in many, many ways. You can become a patron over at studiolivetoday.com/Patreon. You become a member of the channel. There's a membership button just down below, or if you're on mobile, go to studiolivetoday.com/member. You can donate via the super chat, the super stickers, and via PayPal, which is linked in the description as well. And all I've got left to say until next time is be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. See, it's almost like my tagline is exactly this show. And keep creating. I'll see you next time.